I'll just make it hologram. That would be convenient. Cheaper. You don't have to feed them.
You know, what would they just make the water digital? Just make the
Well,
whole
that's the thing. The
thing.
water is already digital. That's just like a bottomless pit. There's no actual water there.
5, 4,
Which is also a very weird and
1.
dangerous feature to have.
Capture.
But that aside, we're a long way away from those koi. Going to be coming out onto control center. There's that big glowing thing in the middle. I assume that's a hologram.
So notably here, Patapan's going to come out with the May first. You already see that Icefall cutting off the Incipience team. So basically they just read that there was going to be a Ghost coming out, and May, with that wall on this map, actually does a very good job of splitting the team up.
Yeah, they didn't quite get the kill on Ambition while he was separated, but it does mean that by the time Incipients are on the point itself, they're not really as cohesive as they want to be, and Queen is going to absolutely wipe the floor with them. Cap goes the way of Xavier.
This is actually a really nice adaptation. I got to talk about the May again, but when you look at the entire compositions back to front for both teams, Xavier are basically running goats as well, except they're running goats anti-goats, which essentially means that you have the Decon onto the Ana with the Bionet to counter the other side, as well as the May wall. Look at how effective this is.
Yeah, you separate them out, you Bionate them down, maybe you freeze one of them as well. Unfortunately, though, both times they've
freeze all of them.
Actually got the pick, but yeah, freeze all of them. Why not? The ult stacked down, and between just those two, they absolutely destroy Incipience once again. Goodbye.
Some encouragement off the side.
Xavier are going to very handily hold on to the defense.
This is what we know Xavier for. When we came into week 1 and we saw them play this composition, we said this is a team that knows how to play Ghost. This 3-3 comp, 3 tanks, 3 supports, or in this case, not quite because the depends on the May, but they know how to be aggressive. Their timings are good. Their positioning is good. Here it comes again, wall into Bionate.
But that, I mean, like you said, they know how to play this team comp. They know it so well that they're able to come up with inventive things like this to counter that very same team comp.
So well placed.
Even that massive grab, there was no follow-up. They again separate out the team. They pick off Xenofly. Now they've dropped GNX. Xeon Flux is in full retreat. Incipients, they haven't really been able to make any headway here. And now Xavier are coming up again on a big combo.
And that was the Incipients fight they needed to win, because they finally built up some ultimates after losing so many consecutive fights. They needed a lot more momentum off that. They needed to get out of their base. They couldn't even do that. Now they're stuck again.
Oh man, again the bio grenade goes down. Again the graviton connects. Again they just go straight in with the damage. They pop Ambition. Incipients just lose all their front line.
Oh, no exit.
All their ability to fight. And this is absolutely disgusting. Gonna throw in a blizzard here as well, just to secure it, meaning that Incipients don't even get close to that point. 100-0 and a masterclass from Xavier.
That's like 100-0, where first of all, there's no overtime, which says that no one from Incipients can touch the point. You saw Ambition there get close. It's also 100-0, where, to be quite honest with you, Incipients barely got out of their base.
I'm not even sure if anyone from Xavier actually died. Maybe 1 or 2. That was almost a perfect game.
That was about the most comprehensive victory I think we've seen this season. There have been some one-sided matchups for sure, but this has been truly the most one-sided, that particular map.
And it felt purely compositional. I mean, I think you kind of called it
the
there.
execution's there too.
Yeah,
sure.
like you kind of called it there. It's like this anti-goats comp, running the May in there with the Ana. I mean, it was beautiful. But you're right, it is the execution. But it almost felt like we play this comp, we execute it right, and it wins automatically.
And it's the best, it's the team that executes Ghost the best, I would say, in this entire season. Of the 12 teams we've seen, play it into the other team knowing how to counter it. But enough of that. Look, going to the next map, Incipients are looking for revenge. They're looking for kills, and GNX with a sick flick onto Patapan.
That is a pretty nice opener, but they haven't been able to convert that into much ground in this sort of garden in front of the point, at least not just yet. Now Incipients getting beaten back. The cap's open, and it's going to go the way of Xavier, even as Incipients, again, the kills Bubble Kitty popping off. But that's the thing, Xavier have still got the point. They've still got the progress coming up. Incipients really need to actually get aggressive onto the point itself. Need to start getting the pressure there. They need to start capping it out. And with those last few kills, they should be able to do just that.
You see how many ults Incipients get off this as well? A 6, including that pulse bomb that Bubble Kitty just threw out there. Now they get to cash in on all of this. Xavier Esports attempting to climb back in. When I say climb back in, to be quite honest with you, they have the point. They haven't lost the point.
Yeah.
They're continuing to hold.
They're not giving it up. Gonna try and bump that off the edge. Xeon Flux is able to pop the Transcendence to stay alive. Also Sage and God going down. But when you consider Xavier have effectively been in recovery mode ever since the start of this fight, they were able to cap in that time, and now they've been able to hold it out, at least now long enough to the point where they can even turn it back around. I mean, that's just incredible from Xavier.
Such great recovery, and note, 6 ultimates from Incipience, 6 of them, 5 of them got used. Bubble Cutie actually had a second pulse bomb, so that's like technically 6 ultimates just minus the primal rage from Ambition. Still Xavier held on, still Xavier got that first cap, but didn't lose the cap at all. 60+%, Incipience are in some real trouble.
Man, I mean, this could be another 100-0, but Incipience can't get the cap off a fight that was going that successfully, then you wonder if they can ever get in at all, especially with Xeon Flux getting picked, GNX as well, Xavier just coming alive. Incipients are never going to get the upper hand like that again, at least not as far as Xavier are concerned, and already pushing to 85%.
Just being pushed backwards. We're nearly at 19 for Xavier Esports. Like I said, back-to-back 100-0s. This time it's not going to be as perfect, but you got to admire the level of recovery that Xavier Esports can offer here. 95 now.
Ults coming up across the board for both teams, in fact, and that means if Incipients can't do it here, then they can't do it all. It's just going to be a big brawl to close it out, and Incipients off to a great start. 3 for none so far in the trades. Patapan and Queen, they're probably smart to hold on to these ultimates as it currently stands. They are just going to let this one go over. It's not going to be another 100-0, but I tell you what, they should still be able to finish this one off. Incipients bled themselves dry, and Xavier preserved all of those tools.
And all they needed to do, they being Xavier in this case, is get to 99%. Once they've stalled up to that point, no more reason to throw any more ults in there. They're about to come up to 5, and like you said, Incipients bled themselves dry. It's going to be GNX and Ambition making the big plays here, or it's all over. Xavier just needs to win one fight.
Sage and God already with the opening pick on Ambition, and that was with the Primal Rage available, so a bit of a boo-boo there from Incipience's tank player. And now the rest all just kind of fall down piece by piece. Patty Pan connects to the Pulse Bomb, closes out another, and they just start to tear Incipience apart. Yeah, it is. It's all over but for the crying, and at 99%, the cap to go the way now of Xavier in just a few moments. I'm not even sure who's still on the point from Incipience, but certainly they're going to make sure no one else gets onto it. Closing out Ambition for a second time, and it is going to be Xavier in just a few moments, closing out Lijiang Tower, drawing first blood in the series, looking to secure what will be their final match of the season. Off to a good start.
Look at this, the timer is just slowly going down for the overtime, and the Incipients attempting to just feed as many members as they can, but Xavier are hungry, they're ready to eat. And they're feasting on that 2-0 on Lijiang Tower. I still can't quite get over how comprehensive that control center was.
Just clinical.
But even this Gardens map, despite losing the cap once, and this is, you know, you'd have to be very nitpicky to say, oh, they lost the cap once. It's like, that normally you do. Teams should normally have some back and forth. But,
and they almost didn't.
And we also have a scenario here where, despite losing the cap one time, there was just such a resounding kind of win condition there for Xavier to say, okay, well, we've done the work, 99%, get the 5 ultimates, come back straight away, and then just win the team fight. It's like you expect Incipience as a losing team to at least have one turnaround where they can have one good fight, get that cap over to them. With Xavier Esports, just keeping the eyes on the prize, not too phased by that. We'll back off, we'll come back and win straight away.
All the way through on both of those maps, it just kind of felt a bit like paint by numbers for Xavier, you know? If we play this and we do this and we go in here, then we 100-0, and then when we do this on this one, they get these ultimates, they win that one, we come back and win it straight back again. Like,
everything's by design.
Exactly. Like, you could have preordained that one. You know, you draw the tarot cards before the match and like, well, this is how it's going to go. You know, and the fact that the execution allowed that to be there shows the skill of this team, shows why they're making playoffs. But that really was just a masterclass.
It was, and now you're starting to see, again, the caliber of a team that beats Blank, that is number 3 in this group for good reason, in a group where you have powerhouses like Cyclops Athlete Gaming, like Hong Kong Attitude, who are looking really, really good as well. Xavier Esports deservedly currently sitting in that 3rd place. I'd say they are currently probably the 3rd best team in this group, and based on this performance, you'd say, I mean, there's 2 teams that are still better than this in the group. Xavier are already just dismantling Incipience on a totally another level.
It's interesting, isn't it? because both of these teams have ended up having incredibly stiff competition, but in completely different ways. In Group A, we kind of got that everyone beats everyone. In Group B, we've got this very hard stratification, and you see teams like this, and you go, and that's right, there's still teams even better. But moving forward now, on to Eichenwalde for map number 2, and that is going to be Incipience's pick here. And again, I wonder if we're going to see that same just clinic put on by Xavier.
It certainly seems that way. And just as an update as well, if you're curious about, when we say Xavier beat Blank, that was a 4-0. When we say Hong Kong Attitude beat Xavier, of course, because Hong Kong Attitude is second, Hong Kong actually won that one 4-0 as well. So when we talk about the fact that, yes, there are some better teams here, this is now a Xavier squad that looks very good, but still Hong Kong Attitude can 4-0 them. So, I mean, there's some serious skill, I think, in both groups and for different reasons. Like you pointed out, it's kind of everyone beating everyone in A, and then in B, you have much more defined ranks of first, second, third, fourth, and so on. And right now, you want to give Incipience some chance. You want to give them something to stand on, some ability to climb in. And you got to go back to the fact that they had a close match against Cyclops Athlete Gaming. However, right now, based off that map, I mean, this could potentially and very likely could be a 4-0.
I mean, they got that closer showing against Cyclops Athlete Gaming, but if this is what close now looks like for Incipience, then I don't want to know what one-sided looks like. And that's the reality. At the very least, that Lijiang Tower just wasn't close at all. Now, maybe that's the one-off, right?
Maybe it's the one game mode, right?
Yeah, maybe that's the one game mode, and it's the one team comp, and it just, it all fell right for Xavier. Incipience played into their hand, whatever. Maybe that's the case. Maybe Eichenwalde looks better. But if it doesn't, then you've got to say that whatever happened with Incipience against CAG was a fluke, or maybe Xavier have just kicked it up a notch as they take the lead into playoffs. And that would be a pretty ideal time for a team to kick it up a notch.
So no substitutions here from what I can tell. Dreamer and Olivier still onto the bench for Xavier Esports. So you're at the sort of stage where you've got to think, why even change anything? Xavier have a winning formula
If it ain't
here.
broke, right?
It certainly isn't right now, but they are breaking Incipience down piece by piece, and we'll see if they can continue doing so. Xavier attacking first. Both teams running somewhat, I was going to say somewhat similar, but actually it's mostly tank. It's mostly Goats with the Doomfist, so again, another variation.
They're actually both extremely different. That's going to be a good catch-up to Padipan. Really kind of hamstrings what this team comp is going to be able to do, especially having lost those supports. Even then, they still just, they throw a couple of punches back and they do land pretty nicely.
Oh, what a stun.
Wow, nice. But at any rate, it is going to be Xavier not quite getting this one. They are going to have to pull back, lick the wounds, and try again.
When I say importantly, though, it was Ambition and Xenofly going down there. And when I say Xenofly, I mean the mech. And that kind of means until we see Ambition get back in here as the Orisa, Xavier have opportunity, because it is those tank players that really hold on to the cap, that are really the difficulty for an attacking team. And now with Ambition back into the mix, you can see his shield up. Xavier fully reset as well. The only thing they got to work off of is the ultimates they built up, or the ultimate charges they built up.
Now Xavier looking for the next angle, and I'm really liking this kind of flex goats that Xavier are running. Unfortunately, not working out so well on this particular map, because each time the flex one has been hooked out. But yeah, where is that dragon?
Wasn't Eden, because Xavier don't have a diva. No, they do have a diva. So maybe it was Eden.
Must have been it. But at any rate, Xavier are going to get repelled on this one. Going to have to come back in and try again, but starting to come up on those ultimates. Incipients are going to have to figure out how exactly they want to hold on to this one.
We've seen what kind of damage Tung can do when he was on the Roadhog just earlier for the Blank series, so I'd like to see if Xeon Flux can do exactly the same thing. Here comes a Shadow though. No, it's probably not looking good.
Yeah, it's a big kahuna right there. Layered on with the grab and the coalescence and, the bip bop bam, and that's going to be it done. Bubble Kitty not even going to get away. The gong to ring out as the point goes the way of Xavier. It really did just feel like a matter of time, but that was pretty spectacular fashion.
The other thing is, you're probably okay, maybe not happy, but you're okay with using those ultimates, because also a lot of teams do decide to change comps here. Xavier though, they're feeling good about it. They got to push up to the high ground, and we did say the one thing this comp struggles with is taking high ground, but not if you get there early before the defense there.
And also not if you're flexing out to put a tracer on this. Again, I kind of like what Xavier are doing here. It does weakens some parts of what this comp wants to do, but it also increases its flexibility and its options against your opponent trying to counter things. Yeah, they are a bit too split. They are just going to have to pull back onto the card, but it puts the pressure on Incipience. Incipience now have to play the card. They're pummeling away with the Pharah, but they actually need to stop the movement.
Well, they should be able to do that soon. Look at the barrage. It's about to come in.
Oh,
what a
geez.
sec
How do
from
you
Patty
do
Pan.
that, Patty Pan?
That's a Sinatra play if I've ever seen one, but
that's why he's going to the World Cup.
I'm really excited to see him here, but that was insane. I was just going to say, Bubble Kitty has the barrage, just swapped onto the Forest freshly for this defense, builds up a very quick barrage, as you'd expect to be able to do as a Fire player, and Padawan just smacks him out of the air. For Xavier Esports, they've actually got past the most difficult part. They're running a Goat's shell still, and they're spawn camping Incipience. Look at this.
Oh, wow, and a great Earth Shatter to connect. They pop GNX. Bubble Kitty tries to flank around the backside, gets Sage and God, but that's all he gets. Xavier, like, this is starting to look like no contest, almost.
This is it. That's going to be a cap as well. No, it's not quite going to be a cap, but they're still lots to play with.
Yeah, they're going to give themselves a shot here at the fight. They do have some ultimates here in Incipience, but so does Xavier. Already out with that Coalescence, getting work done. Bubble Kitty's down. Xavier still with deep pockets. They need to keep Queen alive, though. Not going to be able to do that. Sound barrier out, though, as they pop
another one in the air.
Yeah, amazing. Padawan just... I mean, what is this? How is this happening right now? Just like lobs them up, catches them on the flyby. It's like catching a mosquito with chopsticks. That's what that feels like. And they're still getting the kills through as well. Again, it feels like a matter of time. A grab out now onto the few remaining members of Incipience. It's all done but for the crying.
That's got to be the one response. Actually might buy some time here. Losing Padawan and Tay means Bubble Kitty still stays alive, and Bubble Kitty dying early has been how Xavier have been getting a lot of progress. Because he's not going down just yet, Sound Barrier is so clutch coming out from Xeon Flux. That's actually going to be the defense help.
But the Earth Shatter does ground Bubble Kitty for a few crucial seconds. He knows it's not safe to keep doing the flyby thing. He's going to end up dropping down off the edge. And Xavier have stuck in this fight for ages, not really having any kind of respawn advantage. That's just Incipience being closer on the respawns, having a few kills here and there. Now Xavier, yeah, marching forward to make the space. All 6 of them on fire, by the way.
Yeah, that means obviously it means you're doing super, super well here. Do also want to commend both teams for sort of that last engagement on that B cap was just so back and forth for Xavier. The tenacity of this team, the perseverance, now continuing to push on through, still have ultimates to play with, on a good composition for the C point as well. And that's because they never got shut down on B.
Aerial lob in for the grab, and already Padawan throws in the pulse bomb. The rest just do the damage. Actually, smart testing of the cart there on the backside by Xenofly. It does mean the late kill, yeah, but it will mean staggered respawns as well, and Xavier are well poised to make a spawn camp happen here.
And nearly onto the Earthshadow. Look at Queen's positioning. He's the one to watch right now. If he lands this, you'd expect him to because he's hit some big ones so far.
Doesn't even need it.
That's even better. He gets you the victory Earthshadow. That's the one you really like to see. And again, just another commanding series of play for this team of Xavier Esports. The only stop-up that we had, realistically, was on that A push. They wasted about 2 minutes. I don't even want to say wasted. It was more like they had to use 2 minutes to really break through that defense, work away at it, chip away at it. Eventually, that shatter combo with the Coalescence, with the grab, we saw the Xenofly, Xeon Flux had that whole hog, and we said, look, maybe this whole hog is the defensive tool they need. Doesn't even get a chance to use it, gets slammed into the ground. Then you see this composition go onto the B point, and you think most teams probably swap off here, probably go on to something a little bit more mobile because you can't take high ground easily. They say we're so far into the lead, we take the high ground now, before the defense are there. We push the count through, we win a fight, we then scale this composition all the way to C, snowball with the ultimates, we don't have to change anything.
Just on the whole, I mean, it was smart play by Xavier, that's the thing. It wasn't just good play, it was smart play. Again, I want to go back to this sort of goat's shell that they have been running, now finally making a genuine deviation from it. But previously we've seen Padawan being the flex component of that. He's been as willing to go onto the Diva as he has the Tracer, the Widowmaker, the Mei, whatever it is, yeah, the Doomfist, whatever it is they've needed in the specific situation against whatever team comp Incipience is running. And it's making it a little bit harder to get a kind of one-size-fits-all counter to this goat shell. It does make the shell itself a little bit weaker, But because their execution is so excellent with Goats, they're able to make this work.
Well, it's about the compromise, right? It's a little bit weaker, the shell itself, the integrity, but also if you can make the utility worth it, if you can get the mileage on the utility, it doesn't matter that the overall Goats is weaker because you still really capitalize overall. And a lot of that comes down to execution, like you said.
Now on the defense, they're just going to pop a double sniper. The 2 shield
Playing
tanks.
safe,
yeah,
you know?
so, yeah, and that's what this feels like. It feels like playing it safe. And again, I fully expect them to be able to play this to great effect. The pressure is on Incipience to find a way in.
Bubble Kitty doesn't even want to play far into that.
No, can't make me. I'm playing Genji.
Which you'd actually quite respect it because this puts a lot more pressure counter onto THK and Pattypan. You want to see the Tracer Genji dive onto these sort of heroes. You can also run circles around Queen and Sage and God here. Ryan and Zaya can't really respond to high ground pressure, which is exactly what Incipients want to do.
So good read and good dive as well, just kind of tearing Xavier to shreds there. Xavier did a good job of trying to just back up Kite, make space so that they could get kills out of THK and Pattypan, but they got none. Incipients just clean him out.
It's actually really refreshing to see the opposite here. We've spent a map and a half praising Xavier Esports for their ability to accurately read how to counter out the enemy composition. Incipients have done just that. They knew, look, Xavier going to be stuck onto the ground. The squishies we want to go on are on the high ground. We can jump on that with a dive, and then the tanks can't respond.
Now Incipients keeping with this relatively mobile team comp here. Xavier, though, have changed up to match it. The kill on Bubble Kitty as these gates open means that they can start setting up, not quite a spawn camp, but certainly a very advanced position to keep Incipients bottled up and just burn their clock.
They're doing a decent job of just holding in this forward space. Note that any time the attackers get spawn camped in this position, it's really difficult. And the opposite happened for Xavier's own attack. Xavier pushed so far forward, and Incipients barely had a defensive positioning.
Just wasting Incipients' time right now.
They do have
over
ults,
4.5 minutes. Yeah, they do have ults. Now they're able to finally pop him out. Bubble Kitty just hacking and slashing away will be able to get Sage and God in that pilot form. They have broken the line for now, but it took a lot of time just to get that done. There's still more opportunities for defense here on this point B for Xavier.
Especially when I'm seeing a lot of 90s pop up for Xavier, and a lot of those 90s are going to go up to 100 pretty soon. In fact, now would be good. And I mean, the momentum is shifting, right? This defense now has a lot of ults to play with. Card is slowly moving, but Ambition's already down, and no Primal Rage usage.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I mean, that's the nature of that 5-ball headshot, right? It catches you by surprise. You almost can't blame Ambition for not Primal Raging there. Xenofly is going to reset the mech with the self-destruction. They've made some good headway with these picks. Now, Xavier, again, waste a bit of Incipients' time, but this time not as much as I think they would have liked. And
sounds like these are 2 late deaths on 2 support members that you do definitely need on this next defensive section. Pattypan changing onto the fire now. You're likely to see Xavier continue to hold here. There's no way they give up this cap for free. They certainly have the ults to do so, but they got to go in fast.
Someone's got to get on that. Oh, in the nick of time, Queen dives in, and now they go and get set up. The rally to come out from THK and all the ultimates coming in.
That's half a rally.
Yeah, I suppose. GNX being down is a bit of a big tempo shift now. Oh, bump off the edge for Tay. Nicely done. Takes that Transcendence off the table, but honestly, the numbers tell it all. Xavier are in the lead in this fight. Transcendence, nicely timed from Xeon Flux, buys them time to get these extra ultimates up. If they can get into a Dragon Blade in the nick of time, they could still win this fight here in
Chase back.
But for now, Xavier have been able to regroup on this point and put up one heck of a fight. And you're right, Tay is back. He's not actually been able to save Pattypan or Sage and God's mech though, and they're not actually getting kills. Incipients have been able to hold on to this one, should be able to push this through in just a few more moments now. With this Dragon Blade coming out, should seal the deal.
They are forcing ults on the end. Attacking ults are very important for Incipients. They like to snowball to see with them, and you'd expect them to be able to camp at some point because Xavier are just running out of members. The good news here is for Xavier Esports, they want to change anyway. Incipients probably likely to change heroes as well. Not for the time being, at least. They do want to just sort of feel out this competition, but Xavier happy to burn all their ults because they knew they were going to go into a new composition.
The one thing that's kind of working well here for Xavier right now, given that they have just lost all these point fights so far, is they can burn the clock down. They can maybe still go into overtime in a better situation, or indeed fully hold. That is still within the realm of possibility. But now Incipience with the ultimates out, marching their way forward once again. Transcendence on, looking to convert those kills through, but this time not quite getting that same mileage, not quite sinking their teeth in.
Available, now being used, by the way, tank ultimates coming online. Doesn't quite survive Xenofly as the Pilot Diva actually takes that one down. But Xavier Esports still getting the majority of the kills here nonetheless, despite the tire not having been effective. This is kind of a bit of a symptom of Incipience just running out of juice here. Now going to be changing up comps themselves, which does kind of hurt because Bubble Kitty is close to that Dragon Blade. But for Xavier Esports, they've won the most important fight on that C defense, which is the first one where Incipience have a lot of momentum.
And now we effectively end up in a situation where Incipience cannot match Xavier's time. That's good news going forward. It means Xavier guaranteed that they set themselves up to be in that winning position. If indeed they don't just win it outright right now, and with Pattypan picking up another kill on GNX, it'll be more time lost for Incipience. Even with the res, they immediately lose ambition. Xavier are taking a mile out of every inch. They're making it really hard for Incipience to get headway now that they are back on the entrenched defense here.
They're also forcing Incipience to constantly play into these big ults. Note that Xavier haven't had to use an ult to do that. They haven't had to use an ult to push Incipience back. Pattypan already used a tire earlier, already has another tire ahead of the second fight.
And that's going to be a grab. They're going to combo it up with a tire. By the time he gets there, there's no one to kill. No,
should probably prefer.
Let's see if he can find Xeon Flux.
Oh, this is tricky. He's just going to sit here, but like no one's
respawning time.
Yeah, but you'd also like to see him not get kills with the tire there, and that sounds weird, but the reason for that is you want everyone else to get the kills to charge the other ultimates. The tire is not going to get you more charge on your Junkrat, so you're happy to give those kills away to your teammates, assuming they can get it.
And it's still an affordably low economy fight. They do lose Pattypan though, which gives Incipience a window. Xavier are going to have to throw in a lot more ultimates to this fight to make it worthwhile. Bubble Kitty counted out by the Transcendence from Tay.
And a rally.
Now Xavier, yeah, and a rally, but Xavier are out of ultimates as GNX channels the tire. Ambition's down though, get two. That's the opening they need. And even though they lacked ambition, they've been able to find him back.
They're pushing back.
You lack ambition.
But for Xavier right now, this kind of hurts because they lost way too many there. Incipience finally getting some really decent headway. They might actually be able to cap out here. It has to be now. They only have one fight remaining. 40 seconds means they can't really afford to lose again.
Last hurrah on the point though. Xavier have actually been able to essentially fully regroup here. Ambition out with the Earth Shatter blocked completely and utterly. And now Saiyajin God grab available. Looking for an angle. No! They get hit by Xenoflies, but it doesn't matter. Queen did the work, got two with the charges. And Saiyajin God, he might not even use this grab when all is said and done.
Oh, I don't know about that tire.
10 seconds remaining here. GNX gets nothing and dies, unfortunately. He and his tire out as well. Doesn't even need it from Pattypan. Queen finishes off ambition for him. And just style points on the grab. And it's going to be Eichenwald also going the way of Xavier. I gotta think the hold.
I gotta say, they're Incipience. You have to be able to credit them for being able to get as far as they did. It feels like a consolation that you don't even really get rewarded for because, again, it's not like you get points for this, for losing here or anything. But look, this was a very good series, a really good map rather, when you consider how extremely one-sided Lijiang Tower was. This was Incipience really fighting on Eichenwald and Xavier, to be quite honest with you as well, really having to fight back at certain points.
I have to say, I am genuinely impressed with Incipience there. When they are firing on all cylinders, they've got the stuff, right? Like, they're looking decent. Again, it goes back a little bit to what I was saying before, right? Like, these are decent players on a decent team. It's just the competition is way too stiff for them right now. They're not quite there just yet. But they're getting better, and they're getting closer. And it doesn't help that they're against Xavier, who themselves are just looking better and better, firing on all cylinders increasingly as not just this season, but time in general goes by.
And I want to say as well, when you look at sort of the more amateur quote-unquote teams coming from Season 1 to Season 2, teams like back then Logitech Gia Bang, who are now Nova Esports, Xavier Esports, who were just kind of, you could feel that they were very new, they were just kind of trying to get their bearings, getting the lay of the land. Coming back this season, Nova's been on fire, Xavier's been on fire. Nova is still in 5th place and have a bit of a mountain to climb, but they have had some insanely good matches this season. But Incipience kind of feel like those type of teams from Season 1 You just want to see Incipience back for one more season, and you got to think season 3 for Incipience is when they should be looking much better, because both Xavier and Bang, or rather Nova Esports this season, kind of were in Incipience's shoes somewhat.
And that's the rough thing, right? Like, you see these teams, and what they really need, like you said, is a second season. They need a follow-up season, and that's often where they're able to solidify themselves a bit more. I mean, I know this is a bit weird to say it now with how things have gone, but, you know, it was Fireball once upon a time. Avoided relegations, turned themselves into Mega, such a mainstay. It'll be a shame to see them go, by the way. And now it's Xavier.
We don't know that they're gone for good, and we don't know that anyone is exactly going to be gone for good right now. We're going to take a bit of a break, but when we come back, we'll find out the conclusion of this matchup. It's Xavier versus Incipience. Who's going to win? Find out after this break.